On this Andy's Auto Sport short, we're going to electrify you with spark plug wires, and then we're going to install a set of our Nology wires on our Project Integra. So what is a spark plug wire? A spark plug wire transfers the energy generated by the coil to the spark plugs to light the air and fuel in the combustion chamber. They're also known as ignition wires, so those terms are interchangeable. So the reason you'd want to buy a performance wire is the factory wires have considerably more resistance than the aftermarket wires do. A factory wire will have as much as 10,000 ohms of resistance per foot, whereas aftermarket wires are anywhere between 50 and 400 ohms per foot. A lot less resistance, so more of that energy gets to your spark plugs. So with less resistance, as we said, more spark gets to the plug. Now this is going to do a couple of things. It's going to create a hotter spark, which is going to help with a more complete combustion. That's going to lower your emissions. Now another advantage that an aftermarket wire has is they're actually built a little bit differently than the factory wires. So when you add that aftermarket high power coil, you're going to have less likely for that energy to actually leak through the wire. Remember, if energy leaks from your spark plug wires, you're not going to get the power or performance out of those aftermarket components that you bought, such as an ignition box or an aftermarket coil. So if you want to stop those leaks and make sure all that power gets to the spark plug, an aftermarket set of spark plug wires should definitely be in your shopping cart. Now, most spark plug wires won't add any horsepower. They're just going to allow you to transfer that energy much better than the factory ones do. Aside from the benefits you're going to get with a performance set of ignition wires, simply replacing your old wires is going to make a huge impact. We actually recommend that you replace your spark plug wires every 5 years, and the reason is that it's not actually the miles that hurt your spark plug wires, it's actually time. Over time, the distillants in the rubber will actually break down in the spark plug wires and allow them to leak. So if it's been more than 5 years, definitely time to put a set of wires on there, and you might as well upgrade. If you don't, every time you mash the throttle, you can expect to have misfires. Now, for all our project vehicles here at Andy's Auto Sport, we use Nology hot wires exclusively. They are great performers. I've used them for years. I've done extensive dyno testing, and they always prove to make more horsepower. Now, one of the ways they do this is they actually have a capacitor built into the wire. What this does is it holds all that spark energy until the last second and then releases it all at one time. I'm going to show you an example of that here in just a few seconds. Now, if you live in a state such as California with strict emissions laws, all Nology hot wires come with a CARB sticker and are CARB approved. To learn more about California Air Resources Board and CARB approval, check out the link below. So I've got our Nology buzz box here, and I'm going to show you the difference between the Nology hot wires and the factory style wires that are probably installed on your car right now. You're going to see a much greater spark from the Nology side. As you can see, the Nology spark is much hotter than the factory wire. Now, I've switched these around on this buzz box, and the spark looks exactly the same. The Nology is just going to get that big purple spark exactly like you want. That's going to promote better combustion, and you're going to be able to create more horsepower with it. Now, let's install some on our Project Integra. So when you're installing spark plug wires, remember the engine has a specific firing order. If you're not sure what that is or how to do this, just install one spark plug wire at a time. So all we're going to do is we're going to remove one spark plug wire and replace it, and at the end we're going to show you how to hook up the grounds. Okay, now to start, I'm going to go ahead and remove all of my wires from their little wire looms. This is going to make it easier for me to chase the wires. I'm just going to get these out of the way. Pretty straightforward, just unplugs. We find our longest wire since we're the furthest away from our cap. We're going to remove this old harness piece here that held the wires in place. Basically, you want to make sure that your ground straps are just connected to a good ground. Any valve cover bolt or exhaust manifold bolt is going to be fine. They don't all have to be connected to the same bolt, just as long as it's a good ground. So our studs are a little bit short on this car, so we're actually just going to put 2 on one stud and then 2 on another, and that'll get us the ground that we need for the capacitors in our wires. So there you see we've installed our Nology hot wires on our Project Integra. Now the entire job took about 10 minutes with ordinary hand tools, just the 10mm that we needed to hook up the ground strap. Popular brands that we carry are Taylor, Excel, MSD, MagnaCore, and of course Nology. Check out the link below to see what we have available for your vehicle. We hope you've learned something today, and we'll see you on another Andy's Auto Sports Short.